Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of this Pokemon tier list maker. So this time we're going through Generation 2, and the one that I found does have the Mega Evolutions, which I'm not ranking those because I'll actually go through them in Gen 6, so I'm going to leave them out. So, just the same as last time, but this time I took out the E and F tier. But actually, this one was still also S through D, but I felt like that the tiers were kind of thin last time. So the lower tier, two lower tiers. So I was like, well, put them in D tier. Actually, I will throw one more tier below and just name it F and just give it an F tier. So skipping E. First off, let's start out with Chikorita. Uh, Again, this goes to my thing of like I'm not a huge fan of grass types. I don't really care for Chikorita's design. Bailey I like a little more, and Meganium I feel about the same there. Cyndaquil I'm gonna put in A tier, Quilava S tier, and Typhlosion into B tier. I like Cyndaquil. It's nice and small. It's compact. It looks really nice. Its 3D model sucks. Uh, Quilava just kind of like a stretched out Cyndaquil with a shorter snout, and it looks really nice, really sick. Like all of its models look really good outside of its 3D ones. And that's just like a general thing that happens with the Typhlosion line. Uh, Typhlosion, I really don't like the way that it becomes like it loses the tail flames, which I think looked really nice. And then it also loses the Mohawk, which the Mohawk looked really nice. And really, I feel like Typhlosion, the progression between Cyndaquil and Typhlosion felt really awkward, or not really awkward, but just kind of boring, I guess you could say. Like there isn't much of a progression. It's more so just it gets a little bigger. It's not like Chikorita, where it will like the buds on its neck turn into little uh sprouts and then blossom. Like it doesn't have something like that. It gets longer and then it gets bulkier. And it's just I don't know. I feel like that was a little weird. Since the starters typically have like pretty drastic changes. Next up, we have Totodile. Totodile going into S tier. Uh, Crocodile going into C tier, and for Alligator, I'm gonna have to put in an A tier. So, my liking for Totodile actually comes a lot from the anime. It's one of the few things that I remember from the Johto anime, outside of Ash's Bayleaf being a creepy simp. Is Totodile was actually a lot of fun. It was always enjoyable when it was on screen. That and also it's like I really like the crocodile design choice. I think it works really well. Crocodile super awkward. Again, the most starters have an awkward metal stage. Uh, that's kind of comes with it, especially with the water types. I don't really like crocodile becoming a weird like caveman for one stage, and then going right to for alligator who looks nothing like crocodile. It just kind of feels a little weird. I didn't realize my cursor was not being shown. So yeah, but Crocodile, it just looks really awkward. For Alligator, looks much better. And I feel like if they would have kept like the designing of like the lower parts of Totodile and for Alligator onto Crocodile, it would look a lot better. But unfortunately, they didn't. Next up, we have Centret. C tier, kind of. I'll put a D tier. It's not too great. It's kind of boring. For S tier, I don't think I really need an explanation for not an escalator. One of the greatest memes in the Pokemon community. Hoot Hoot. I actually like Hoot Hoot a bit. It's not that bad. It's pretty interesting. Noctowl. I'm indifferent to it. It's not that bad, but at the same time, it's eh. Lediba and Ledian. Uh, I actually kind of like Lediba and Ledian. Actually, I'll put them both in A tier. Oh, I'll put Lediba in B tier. Just because it's literally just a ladybug. Not too much to say about it. But Ledian kind of becoming more of like a fighter. I think it would have been pretty cool to see it lose the flying type and get a fighting type. But that would have just added to its array of massive weaknesses. Would have removed its quad weakness to rock, and give it a quad weakness to flying. So, bit of a poor trade off there. But regardless, Spinarak and Ariados, just like Lediba and Ledian, I actually really like both. But I will put Spinarak a little lower just because I'm not a fan of the green. I prefer its gold and silver color design where it was like black or like a dark purple. But Ariados is really cool. It's like I feel like it could have also worked as a bug dark as opposed to bug poison. But I either way it worked. Crobat. So I gotta say B tier for Crobat. I actually like Crobat. But what really ruins it for me is like its earlier designs and like models and that. It looked like it had that's only like Stadium and Coliseum and that. So I'll put it to A tier. It's the weird like creepy massive teeth it had really were awkward. Chinchu and Lantern, I actually don't like these two. I think that they're both like pretty lackluster and pretty boring and kind of ugly. Chinchu is not that bad. So I'm actually gonna put up C tier. You know what? Actually, I'll put Lantern in F tier and Chinchu in D tier. Pichu F tier. It. In fact, I'll put most of them in in F tier. I'm actually gonna put Igglybuff into D tier. The only reason I'm putting Igglybuff in there is because of Jigglypuff. Togetic. I'll also put it in D tier. The entire Togepi line, I'm not a huge fan of, personally. Togekiss isn't too bad, but uh, that's also in 2 generations. And Togetic is just kind of boring, I guess. Natu and Zatu, I really like their lore. I'm gonna put Natu a little lower just because it doesn't really have too much of lore that gets really kind of spread around. But Zatu just never wants to move because it's afraid that it like if it moves it'll like change the history that it foresees. So Mareep, I'm putting in B tier. Flappy, I'm also putting in a B tier. They're sheep. They're literally just sheep, and it's amazing. Ampharos though, I'm gonna put it a little lower. The only reason why I'm doing that is because it loses its sheepness, I guess you could say. But in general, it's not good. I don't enjoy playing like if I were to like fully play through like Gen 2 and use an electric type, Ampharos would probably be one of the ones I would probably not go to. I would probably go to Flaffy and just keep it as a Flaffy, to be completely honest. Blossom, I'll put it in C tier. I'm not too fond of it, but I don't also don't like it. Uh, it's a super weird design, contrast to Gloom, which is why I gotta say it's not too bad. Meryl and Azumarill. I actually don't like either of them. They're the OG Pika clones. And they even got a baby form in third generation, which also sucks. I can't wait to talk about how terrible Azumarill is. Sudowoodo. I'm putting in A tier. Actually, again, I really like the lore of Sudowoodo, of it being a tree. And it's like people are like, oh, is it a grass type because it's a tree? It's like, no, it's actually a rock type. Polytoad, I'm gonna put it in B tier. I did. Most of this also comes from the anime. If it wasn't for the anime, I'd probably put it in either C tier or D tier. But just like the voice I had in the dub of the anime was hilarious. It's super derpy and kind of played to like its comedic factor, especially when it was like animated sprites or animated models like in XD Gale of Darkness and Stadium, where it was always like really happy and was like clapping all the time. Grass type Magikarp F tier. It's terrible. I actually no. It's not terrible. I actually don't mind Hoppip. Hoppip's a little interesting. I like it. Skiploom though seems it's just kind of awkward to me. As well as Jumpluff. I mean, I get the design choice that they were going with Jumpluff. It looks nice, but other than that, it's super boring. Otherwise, Funny Monkey, Apom goes into C tier. Again, I'm not too like one way or the other with it. Sunkern, I'm gonna put in B tier. The reason why I kind of yeah, I'll put it as A tier. The reason why I'm putting it in A tier is just because I like the fact that it's like the weakest Pokemon and it looks like it should be. Sunflora though, I'm putting in F tier. I'm actually gonna drop Sunkern back down to B tier. But Sunflora, I don't like it. It's like the body of it just is like really awkward because it's like super like plumpy, and that's not what you think of when you think of a sunflower. That is it's I don't know. It's just it kind of is creepy. Uh, to me at least. I actually put Igglybuff back up to F tier to D tier. I think. I don't know what I actually did, but so Yanma. I like Yanma. I prefer Yanmega, but again, this is Gen 4, which is Gen 2. Wooper and Quagsire, S tier. Best thing to come out of Gen 2. Easily. I mean, like, come on, they're absolutely hilarious. The derpiest of derpy Pokemon. Espeon and Umbreon also S tier. They're kind of obvious picks there. They're two of the most well-known evolutions, two of the big fan favorites. Not so much Espeon, but definitely Umbreon. And also, Espeon has one of those underrated shinies of all time. It's green, but it's a nice green. It's nice dark green. It's like Skiploom green, a little darker. If you like Meganium. Murkrow, putting in S tier as well. I like the mobster crow gimmick that it has, and it gets completed in Gen 4. Slowking, I'm actually gonna put it in B tier. I don't really. I'll put it in C tier. I'm not a huge fan of it. But again, it's also like I don't not like it, but I don't like it. You know. Mischievous. Again, I feel about the same. Not a huge fan, but I don't hate it. Unknown, I'm gonna put it in A tier because I actually really like the idea behind it, of it being like the letters and that. Wobbuffet, I'm also gonna put in A tier just because it's a funny punching bag. It's a big blue punching bag that all it does is just hit back. The first palindrome, actually the second palindrome Pokemon to exist in a regional Pokedex, Girafarig. I'm gonna put it in B tier because I like the design of it being like it's literally a palindrome, so it's like one half of it's a giraffe, but like the other half has like a tail, and it could really work the other way around too. Next up, we have Pineco. Again, C tier. It's B tier. Because it's a bagworm. It's not a pine cone. Uh, which I actually really like. I think they didn't do it too well. Uh, and the reason why most people are like, oh yeah, no, it's not, it's a pine cone, is because of that word of a damn. But the pre-evolution of Wormadam, I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But that one did it a lot better because it was, you could tell that it was a bagworm. Fortress, I like its design, but I hate what it's used for. It's pretty well known if you watch my Pokemon Showdown content. I cannot stand Stealth Rock or Spikes. It's just not very fun to. It's not fun to fight against, and it's really annoying. And then it can just blow up whenever it feels. Dunsparce, S tier. It deserves an evolution. Game Freak needs to give it an evolution, or even a regional variant. Scarlet and Violet. Come on, let's get some. Let's get a regional variant of Dunsparce in here. Gligar, I like Gligar. I don't like it as much as I like Gliscor, but again, that's Gen 4. Uh, so Steelix, I also like Steelix. It's a really nice evolution to Onyx, and it really uses the Steel typing well when it comes to like design. But again, just like Fortress, I hate what it's used for, which is Stealth Rock and stuff. Snubble, F tier. That thing is hideous. Gramble, though, I'm actually gonna put it in B tier. I actually kind of like Gramble. The fangs look really nice on it. You drink. It's also like it's kind of funny. It's like it's a dog. It's like a pit bull, but it's also pink or like a purplish pink. Snubble pulls it off very poorly, but Gramble pulls it off very well. Quillfish, I'm putting in A tier. It's really cool. Definitely with like Pokemon Snap or new Pokemon Snap, with seeing it in like the water levels, and that's really cool. Kind of shows like more of like what it's capable of as like a design, with it actually being like a pufferfish and it actually like puffing up. We never really see that in any other form of the games. Scizor, I mean, really, is there any explanation as Scizor? As well as Shuckle. It's Shuckle. And again, just like Steelix and Fortress, Rock Setter. Don't like it. Heracross, I'm putting it in A tier, just because I like it. I really like Heracross, but at the same time, it's just I don't know. There's just something about it. I just don't really particularly care for Heracross, mainly because I feel like it's meant to kind of replace Scyther. Since Scyther kind of gets shelved from the partnership with Pinsir for it. Next up, we have Sneasel. I'm putting Sneasel in A tier. Sneasel's just really cool. It's an arrogant Pokemon. And kind of is like, I guess you could say like a template for the Dark type in a way, like a template for like one of the variations of what Dark type can be used for. Like similar to how like Murkrow is like for a thing of like crime or for like a nighttime animal. Umbreon being like a lore darkness, and Sneasel being like the smug, arrogant, like villain type of Pokemon. Teddy Ursa, I don't mind Teddy Ursa. I think it's pretty interesting. Uh, well, it doesn't have much lore, but it's a cool looking Pokemon. It's cute. Ursaring, I'm gonna put it in C tier though. I don't really have too fond of thoughts about Ursaring right now, so don't not like it. I like how C tier is basically like I don't really have an opinion on it, but Slugma. I'm actually also gonna throw Macargo in there as well before I talk about them. So Macargo and uh Slugma. I actually really like these two. They're really like I think they're really awesome, even though they really suck. Just their design, like it's our first like snail Pokemon, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the only snail Pokemon, at least one that's been like super obvious. Swinub and Piloswine. I'm gonna put Swinub at A tier, Piloswine in B tier. Just because I feel like Piloswine doesn't feel like a fair progression from Swinub, but Swinub is adorable. He's a little piggy, a little hairy pig, and then Mamoswine just kind of makes it feel really weird. Like I get it's like supposed to be like a woolly mammoth, and it's like super hairy, but like you could have made Swinub like a little bigger, I guess you could say. Corsola, I like the coral aspect of it, and I think it really works. And honestly, could have received a mega or even like an evolution at some point, particularly in Gen 3. But it works really well as a standalone Pokemon. It's really nice looking. It fits its like designing. It doesn't really fit the region too much, unfortunately, but still looks really nice. Remoraid and Octillery. I actually really like these two, so like because of their lore of them being like a for Remoraid being a gun, and Octillery being an artillery cannon or a tank. I think that's just an awesome thing. Delibird also I'm also gonna put in A tier. If you watch a Dry Bread, you probably get the reference as to why I like Delibird. If not, Santa's Delibird. Look it up. Mantine. I actually really like stingrays as animals. So to have a stingray Pokemon or a manta ray in Mantine's case is really awesome. Skarmory. Uh, Honestly, I don't hate Skarmory, but I also don't love it. So I actually drop it B tier. Uh, it's pretty. It's a nice defensive wall if you want to use that against someone if against like Red and Snorlax. But overall, again, just like the ones I mentioned previously, Spike Setter, super annoying. Uh, I guess that might be a little bit of bias, is why I'm not a huge fan of Skarmory. But it's a great design. Shiny looks amazing. And overall, it's just a really cool Pokemon, just with a super lackluster moveset. Houndour and Houndoom. I'm gonna put Houndour and Houndoom both in S tier because one, I love dogs. I'm a huge dog person. And I also really like the fire type and the dark type. So to have a fire dark dog is really awesome, especially since they're both uh like honestly I'd say from hell, if you want to say that. Kingdra is a really I'll drop it to A tier. It's a really nice expansion to Seadra. It looks really nice. The face cannon looks a little awkward, but it I you warm up to it. Fampy, going in A tier just because it's so adorable. It's really nice. And Donphan I'm dropping A tier just because like again, similar to that of Swinub and Piloswine, it doesn't feel like a linear change between Fampy and Donphan. It feels like something's missing that's like supposed to tie these two together. But overall, I like Donphan. I think it's really cool. It's really good, offensively and defensively. When it comes to physical, that is, it's not too great, especially. But other than that, I think that's really nice, and that's about all the compliments I have for Pokemon. Porygon 2 kind of is really saving Porygon. Uh, it looks super smooth like it's supposed to. I really One thing I really like when it comes to Porygon and Porygon 2 is in Stadium 2 when you're using like a Porygon, its colors are like super dull. But when you're using a Porygon 2, the color is also a lot brighter and like a lot more saturated. It also is a great defensive Pokemon if you ever use it on your own, especially with like Eviolite. Stantler F tier. I do not like Snightler. It is such an awkward and ugly Pokemon. Uh, I don't really have much good to say about it. So Smeargle. Uh, it's it is an incredibly cool design. Uh, and the fact that like its gimmick of sketch is like a thing. It is like one of the most interesting things ever because like you could literally use any move with it and it could counter anything, but at the same time it is so frail that most of the time it won't even kill anything. Tyrogue, I actually do not like Tyrogue. I wouldn't say it's like that bad. Like I don't mind it, but at the same time, it's a baby Pokemon. Now that I actually remember, it is baby Pokemon. So it's just like all the baby Pokemon. They're unneeded. They're dumb. They're useless. They're garbage. Hitmontop, I'm putting into B tier. Super interesting design of it being a top as well as being based off of the capoeira fighting style. Uh, but where the only reason why I can say I don't really care for it is because it doesn't follow the gimmick of Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, who are based off of Bruce Lee and Hitmonchan, Jackie Chan respectively. Hitmontop being based off of a general fighting style and a top. It works, but at the same time, it doesn't follow the same gimmick, and it's a little disappointing because I feel like we could have possibly seen something like Mike Tyson, like a Mike Tyson type Pokemon. Which I mean, I guess Hitmonchan is already kind of that. But given Jackie Chan's name for some reason. Another baby Pokemon, Smoochum. These are the only two baby Pokemon that I'm actually not gonna rank super low. There is Elekid and Magby. I'll actually put them in C tier because again, I don't have strong opinions on them. But to me, they don't feel like baby Pokemon because they actually have much higher stats than any other baby Pokemon. Mime Junior is another one that's similar to that, but also Elekid, one of my favorite evolution lines, as Electivire is my favorite Pokemon. That and because it's literally just a like a power like a AC adapter, which is awesome. On Magby, I also really like the Magmar line, so I guess it's just personal bias. Miltank, B tier. The only reason why I could say that like drop it more is because of Whitney's Miltank, but really I've never had a problem with Whitney's Miltank. But I was also like very rarely have faced off against Whitney's Miltank. Even casually, it's like you could easily just get muscle the Machop and karate chop it down or low kick it. Blissey, I don't have too strong of opinions on Blissey. Uh, I mean, it's a defensive wall, especially defensive wall. It's kind of useless outside of that. Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. I actually have differing opinions on all of them. Raikou, or on two of them, I have the same. That being Raikou and Suicune being an S tier. Saber-tooth tiger, and I actually don't remember what kind of animal Suicune's based off of, but oh yeah, a leopard. Uh, both really nicely done. And they also fit well with being like related to a weather. Like as you can see, like Raikou having like it looks like a thundercloud on his back, and Suicune looks like it has waves. It looks really nice on both of them. Then they're also really good offensively. Super fun to use, and some of my personal favorites from Gen 2. Next up, we have Entei. I'm gonna put Entei into D tier because I'm not a huge fan of Entei. I don't really care for Entei. It's an interesting design, but at the same time, it just I don't know, something about it just seems a little awkward. It looks like it has like an old man mustache, but it's like also wearing like a wrestling mask. I also like how it's supposed to be like a volcano with like the smoke on the back. But for me, it still seems a little boring. Larvitar, Pupitar, and Tyranitar. Uh, so I'm gonna be honest. I actually do not like any of these three. I don't mind Tyranitar. Tyranitar has a lot of versatility, but Larvitar and Pupitar, I just am not a huge fan of. I think that they're pretty lackluster in design. I'm actually gonna bump Tyranitar to B tier because I actually kind of like Tyranitar, mainly because I love Godzilla. Uh, and that's exactly what Tyranitar is based off of. But also, it's really nice to have like a pseudo legendary that can work as either a physical or a special attacker very well. Since Tyranitar has very high physical and special attacks, that it could work really well, especially since it has a massive special move pool with moves like Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Surf, uh, Dark Pulse, Ancient Power, Power Gem. I think it's Power Gem. I don't remember, but it's got great move. It's got a great move pool, whether you're running physical or special. But Larvitar and Pupitar are just both really weak and really bad. Lugia, I'm putting an A tier. I Lugia has probably one of the most interesting backstories in Pokemon history. It was created initially for the second movie, whatever number movie Lugia was the main focus of. And the guy who created it was like in like a super bad mental space and everything with it, and it was so heartbreaking to like read about his story, and it's just it gives you a respect for the Pokemon because like you can kind of like see what his position, like where he was in life, and kind of connect it to Lugia and be like, man, that's like you could see like his cries for help with it, or not really his cries for help, but like you could see his struggles through Lugia. And it's absolutely beautiful of a Pokemon too. Ho-Oh is S tier. Ho-Oh is really awesome. I think it's a better fire chicken than Moltres, but people want to argue that, I guess, because Moltres' shiny is literally just like one of those like little chicken squeaky toys that are on fire, and just in general it looks like that. But it looks like it's like burnt a lot when it's shiny. But personally, myself, I think Ho looks really nice. Shiny is amazing. And it's also like the leader of the dogs. Next up, we have the little green onion. That could Celebi, putting it in B tier. It's really interesting with it being able to have like time travel and that. But other than that, it doesn't really have that much going for it. All right, that went by much faster than Gen 1, because I decided to be a lot quicker with my explanations. So, next week we're going to be doing Gen 3. Uh, that one I'm honestly most excited for, and I think it might be one of the longer ones, because Gen 3 is my favorite generation. So, I have a lot to say about Gen 3. So, look forward to that one. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and check out the first one. And if it's been a while, check out the other ones. I plan on doing gens 1 through 8, and depending on where we land off, maybe hit 9 soon after. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.